Welcome back to the deep dive. We are doing something a little different today. Usually when we talk about the Caribbean, the mental image is, pretty standard.
Mm.
You're picturing the resort, the white sand, maybe a cruise ship docked in the harbor. It's vacation mode. But today, we are stripping that away to look at the actual engine room of the island's economy,
hmm
real estate.
And we are not talking about buying a timeshare here. We're talking about the nuts and bolts of the domestic market. It's a sector that is sitting right on a fault line.
It really is. We're looking at a fascinating piece of analysis from Jamaica Homes News. It explores a tension that I think everyone is feeling, regardless of their industry or where they live. But the argument here is that this tension is playing out in a very specific, very high-stakes way in Jamaica.
It is. It's the collision between two completely different worlds. On one side, you have the traditional Jamaican business culture, which is incredibly high touch. It's about the handshake, the veranda talk, the reputation.
Well, who knows who?
Exactly. And on the other side, just crashing right into that, is the arrival of artificial intelligence, cold, efficient, data-driven.
Usually when we see these two things collide in the headlines, the narrative is fear. It's robots coming for your jobs. It's
Yeah.
all very dystopian. But our source material today is arguing something else entirely. It calls this a battle of relevance versus resistance.
Which is a much more useful way to frame it. I think so anyway. The article makes the case that for the Jamaican market, this isn't about replacing the human. It's about saving the human from the drudgery that actually kills the business.
We are going to unpack that because there's a lot of nuance there. But let's start with the context. The article opens with this really strong sensory image of what the market actually is. It says real estate in Jamaica isn't about the glossy brochure or the website.
Not at all. It says, reputation travels faster than any billboard on the highway.
That is such a heavy line. Reputation travels faster than a billboard.
And it's literally true in this context. Jamaica is a relationship economy. It is a small place in terms of, social degrees of separation. If you burn a client in Kingston or if you hide a defect in a property in Mandeville, people know about it. The news travels through the network. Trust is the actual currency, not just the commission check.
So if trust and handshakes are the currency and the system works on who you know, why are we even talking about algorithms? It feels counterintuitive. If I trust you because I know your family, what good is a robot?
That is the million-dollar question. The who you know part is working fine, but the what you have to do part is broken. The source points out that while everyone is focused on that human connection, there is a quiet revolution happening. AI isn't some sci-fi movie anymore. It is in the pocket of every client who walks through the door.
The client has the data now. They aren't waiting for you to bring them a binder.
Exactly. The client has access to global trends, valuation tools, comparative data, and this leads to the central mission of this deep dive. How does a culture that is so deeply human, so based on vibe and connection, integrate hard data without losing its soul?
Dean Jones, the founder of Jamaica Homes, is quoted heavily in this piece. He has this framing that I really want to test. He says, "The future of real estate in Jamaica won't be decided by who uses the most technology, but by who uses it with the most wisdom."
Wisdom, that's the key word there.
It feels a bit lofty for a tech discussion, doesn't it? Usually we hear efficiency, speed, scale. Wisdom sounds almost philosophical.
I think he uses that word to warn against the copy-paste mentality. There is a huge tendency in global real estate to look at the U.S. market. Look at Zillow or Redfin and say, okay, let's just drop that software into Kingston and it'll work perfectly.
The Uber for Jamaican real estate pitch.
Right. And the source argues that is a disaster waiting to happen. The U.S. market is highly structured, data-rich, standardized. Jamaican real estate, it's organic, it's messy. Land titles can be complicated. Family ownership structures are complex.
So blind optimism, just adopting tech because it's new, is a trap.
A huge trap. But the article is equally hard on the people who go the other way. The old guard who say, we don't do computers, we do people. The source calls that complacency, not caution.
There's a line in there that says, standing still feels safe until the ground quietly shifts beneath your feet. That is a scary thought for someone who's been in the business 20 years and thinks they have it made.
It should be, because the ground is shifting. But to understand how to survive it, we need to demystify what this tech actually does.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the fear just comes from misunderstanding the mechanism. The article actually takes a detour into a bit of history that I found really helpful. It mentions Alan Turing.
The godfather of computing. Wait, we're going back to the 1950s.
We are. Mid-20th century. Turing asked the fundamental question, can machines think? And for decades, the answer was, no, not really. We didn't have the power.
We had calculators.
We had calculators, we had logic trees. If A happens, then do B, but we didn't have thinking. We have ChatGPT and these large language models, and it feels like thinking. But the expert in the source makes a crucial distinction here. This is the whole concept of the ghost in the machine.
Okay, I want to really drill down on this, because when I use these tools, it feels like I'm talking to someone.
It feels that way, but we need to be very clear. These tools are not sitting there contemplating the philosophy of home ownership. They aren't thinking in the way you or I do. They are pattern matching engines.
Break that down for me. Pattern matching.
Okay, imagine you have read every real estate listing, every legal contract, every market report, and every email written in the last 50 years.
I'm getting a headache just thinking about it.
Right. But if you had, you would start to see patterns. You'd know that after the word spacious, the word living usually follows. You'd know that when interest rates go up, listing prices in certain brackets tend to fall.
So the AI is essentially predicting the next likely piece of information based on a massive library of past information.
Precisely. It is probability, not sentience. It's a prediction machine. And why does that matter for a Jamaican realtor? Because real estate is an information-heavy business. It is just drowning in data that needs to be sorted.
The source calls this friction. I think anyone who has bought a house knows this feeling. But in Jamaica, it sounds like the friction is on another level.
Oh, it is intense. The source lists the administrative load. It's not just driving around showing the house. It's the surveyor's ID report. It's the strata title. It's checking the National Works Agency for road plans. It's valuation reports.
That's the stuff that grinds you down. That's the stuff that keeps you in the office instead of out meeting people.
That is the friction. And the argument here is, let the pattern matcher handle the friction.
Okay, give me a concrete example. How does the pattern matcher fix a surveyor's report issue?
Well, the AI can't drive to the land and measure it. That's the human job. But it can scan a 100-page legal document in 3 seconds and flag where the zoning description doesn't match the listing. It can draft the initial description of the property by pulling details from the surveyor's notes, saving the agent an hour of staring at a blank screen.
So it's the ultimate intern.
It is the intern that never sleeps, never complains, and reads faster than any human being alive. The source calls the benefit time reclaimed. And this is where the argument pivots back to the human element. It's not about using AI to do 1,000 deals a year.
Which is what the tech bros usually sell. 10x your productivity. Scale up.
Right. But in Jamaica, the goal isn't volume, it's quality of relationship. If you aren't buried in paperwork for 4 hours a day, what can you do with those 4 hours?
You can actually go visit the property.
Yeah.
And sit on the veranda with the owner.
You can listen. You can understand why the client is actually selling. Is it a divorce? Is it a death in the family? Is it financial trouble? That context changes everything about the deal. The machine can't see that context. The machine only sees the for sale sign.
That leads us to the section the source calls the Jamaican edge. I really like this part because it validates the skeptics a little bit. It admits where the machine fails.
And it has to fail somewhere. If real estate were just data square footage, price, zip code Zillow would have replaced every agent 10 years ago. But it hasn't.
Because a house isn't a stock? You don't live inside a stock portfolio.
Exactly. And data can be so misleading. The source uses this beautiful phrase, AI cannot walk a community and feel its rhythm.
What does that mean practically, feeling the rhythm?
Okay, imagine 2 houses. Same street, same square footage, same build year. On a spreadsheet, they are identical. The AI values them the same.
Right. The algorithm says they're twins.
But a human agent knows that the house on the left is next to a rum bar that plays loud music until 2 a.m. on Fridays. And the house on the right has a mango tree that the neighbors fight over. Or maybe it catches the breeze perfectly in the afternoon because of how the hill slopes.
The mango tree wars. That is real context.
That is rhythm. That is local knowledge. The AI doesn't have ears. It doesn't have eyes. It only has data. And that kind of nuanced cultural data isn't in the database.
The source quotes Dean Jones again here. A machine can tell you what a property costs. Only a human can tell you what it means.
That is the bumper sticker right there. Cost versus meaning.
That's the distinction.
And that is the definition of the Jamaican edge. Yeah. The agent's value proposition shifts from I have the listings to I have the context. Yeah. The agent becomes the interpreter, not just the messenger.
But this is where it gets tricky, right? Because the source warns that agents are tempted to use AI to fake that context, to use the tools to create a facade of connection.
Yes, this is the whole servant versus master dynamic. The tool should serve you, not replace you.
Let's talk about content creation.
Yeah.
We've all seen it. The listing description, that sounds a little too perfect.
Nestled in the verdant embrace of the Azure Caribbean.
And you know the agent doesn't talk like that. You know they didn't write that.
That is the trap. When ChatGPT dropped, agents thought, great, I never have to write again. But in a high-trust culture like Jamaica, authentic voice is everything.
Right, if I read your bio and it sounds like Shakespeare, and then I meet you and you're speaking normally, which is fine, but there's a disconnect.
The disconnect breaks the trust. It feels like a bait and switch. The source says the agent has to be the editor in conscience. Use the AI to draft it, sure, get the bullet points down, but you have to rewrite it in your voice. You have to ensure it sounds like you.
You have to check the facts. We didn't even touch on this, but AI hallucinates.
Oh, constantly. It will happily invent a swimming pool if it thinks the sentence flows better with one.
Now featuring an imaginary pool.
And if you publish that, you are liable. So the agent cannot outsource the responsibility. You are still the professional on the hook.
What about chatbots? The article mentions them. I have to admit, I have a visceral negative reaction to chatbots. I hate them.
Most people do, because usually they are terrible. They loop you in circles. I didn't quite catch that.
Press 1 for frustration.
But the source talks about a shift toward custom chatbots. These aren't generic. These are trained specifically on that agent's inventory and data.
So it actually knows the answer.
Ideally, it can answer, how many bedrooms does the property in Mandeville have at 3 a.m.? That is useful. It filters out the tire kickers so the agent can sleep.
But there is a rule. A golden rule mentioned in the text.
It must never pretend to be human.
This is crucial.
The moment a bot says, hi, I'm Sarah, how are you today? And tries to fake empathy, you've lost. The uncanny valley kicks in.
It feels manipulative.
It is manipulative. The source suggests framing it as a digital assistant. Hi, I'm Sarah's automated assistant. I can get you the brochure, but Sarah will call you in the morning.
That sets the expectation. It's honest.
Honesty builds trust. And interestingly, the source notes that technology works best when it steps aside. It should handle the initial hello, the data transfer, and then just get out of the way so the humans can talk.
Like a good waiter.
Exactly. Fill the water glass, bring the menu, but don't pull up a chair and eat the dinner.
There's another application mentioned that I thought was smart because it touches on something agents are notoriously bad at. The post-sale.
Ah, the dead zone.
You buy the house, you get the keys, maybe a bottle of rum, and then silence. You never hear from them again.
Which is crazy in a referral economy. You want that person to recommend you to their cousin in 6 months. But agents get busy. They move on to the next deal.
So how does AI fix that without being annoying?
Automation. But helpful automation. The source suggests setting up systems that send value, not spam. A month after move-in. Here's a list of trusted plumbers and electricians in your specific neighborhood. 3 months in, here is how to file your property tax return.
That is gold. That's actually useful.
And the agent sets it up once, and it runs forever. It reinforces goodwill. And in Jamaica, goodwill travels. If you are helpful long after the check is cleared, people remember that.
Okay, so we have the philosophy, we have the tools, but let's look at the market reality. Where is the industry actually sitting? Are Jamaican realtors doing this, or is this just a nice theory?
The source places them in the middle of the adoption curve. You always have the innovators, the early adopters, and the laggards who refuse to change. Jamaica is in the curious but skeptical middle.
And the article says skepticism is healthy.
It is. You shouldn't jump on every bandwagon. Crypto came and went. The metaverse came and went. It's right to ask, is this real?
But the danger isn't skepticism.
No, the danger is silence. It's disengagement. It's saying, I'm not going to learn this. The quote from the source is powerful. In real estate, standing still feels safe until the ground quietly shifts beneath your feet.
That ground shift.
Yeah.
It's not loud. You don't lose all your clients in one day. You just slowly become less relevant.
Exactly. You miss the client who wanted a fast response at midnight. You miss the listing because your valuation wasn't as data-backed as the other guys. It's a slow bleed.
So let's paint a picture of the winner here, the future agent. If we fast forward 5 years, who is winning in Kingston or Ocho Rios?
The source profiles this future agent. And it's a hybrid. It isn't a robot and it isn't a Luddite. It's a combination of 4 specific things.
Let's run through them.
First, human judgment. The ability to discern meaning versus cost. The ability to advise, not just report data.
Sure.
Second, cultural understanding. Knowing the rhythm of the community, the family dynamics, the unspoken rules of the parish. AI can't fake that.
Can't fake the vibe.
Third, ethical practice. This is huge. AI doesn't have a moral compass. It doesn't care if a neighborhood is unsafe for a specific family or if a deal puts someone in financial risk. It just matches data. The human supplies the integrity. The human is the one who says, this isn't right for you.
That's the difference between a salesperson and an advisor.
Correct. And the fourth, strategic use of technology. Notice the word strategic, not maximum use. Strategic. Using the tools to remove the friction we talked about, not to replace the connection.
I like that list because tech expert isn't actually on it. You don't have to be a coder. You don't have to know how to program Python.
You just have to be a driver. You need to know how to steer the car, not how to build the engine.
That brings us to the conclusion. The source wraps up with a message that I found really grounding. It brings it back to the core purpose of the job.
It does. It says the smart approach isn't about buying the most expensive software suite. It's about reclaiming time. Time is the ultimate resource.
If I save 3 hours a week on paperwork, that's 3 hours I can spend with a first-time buyer.
And think about that first-time buyer. Buying a home is terrifying. It's the biggest check they will ever write. They are nervous. They don't understand the jargon.
No algorithm can hold your hand.
That's it. No chatbot can look you in the eye and say, I know this looks scary, but we have checked the title, we have walked the land, and this is a good move for your family. Let's take it step by step.
That reassurance is the product.
That is the premium product. The tech just clears the clutter so you can deliver that product more consistently.
It reframes the fear completely. It's not AI is taking my job. It's AI is taking the parts of my job I hate.
If you let it, if you step up and learn how to use it.
And that leads to the final provocative thought the source leaves us with. And honestly, I think this applies to anyone listening, whether you sell houses in Jamaica or sell software in London.
It's the question of agency.
Lay it on us.
The question isn't whether AI belongs in your field. That ship has sailed. The question is, are you shaping how it belongs, or are you letting it shape you?
Are you the driver, or are you just a passenger in the car?
Exactly. If you ignore it, it will shape you. It will force you into irrelevance. If you engage with it, you get to decide how it serves you.
That is a heavy thing to chew on. Relevance versus resistance.
It's the battle of the decade.
Well, that is a wrap for our deep dive into the smart Jamaican realtor. A really fascinating look at how tradition and technology are trying to find a rhythm together in the Caribbean. Thanks for walking us through it.
My pleasure. It's a great reminder that the human touch is still the killer app.
And thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next deep dive.